Yeah, hi everyone. So today I'll be building a small project. I have named this project as Resume Sidekick. It's a little funny name. I'll explain what exactly this application will do. Every time we apply for a job, it's best to modify and highlight our skills in our resume, which are required for that job opportunity. We might have a lot of experience, but we might not have the correct eye-catching points to put in our resume. You might not even be entering all the top skills required for that resume. Sometimes because the job description is too big and there are too many jobs you want to apply, or sometimes you want to apply it quickly. Uh, so, uh, what we'll do is we will be building an application that can help us suggest the skills that we should put in our resume. It'll give us some pointers that we can put it here and there in our resume, and a career objective that we can add in our resume. This application will not build a resume because there are a lot of other things that goes in the resume, like the work experience, your certifications, or your education. A lot of other things also go in the resume, but yeah, this will help us put some pointers and make our resume a little better. So I'll quickly show. So this is the application that we'll be building today. It is built on NextJS and TailwindCSS. If you have not worked with TailwindCSS, it's okay. We'll go through it. It's very basic, and we are of course making use of GPT-3. We'll be sending our job description via an API call to OpenAI, and we'll see how to write the prompt and to get the response and parse the response and display it here. So instead of putting a complete job description, let's try to put something very simple. Let's say mathematics teacher. Let's say you want to apply for, or someone wants to apply for a mathematics teacher. So once we click on generate, the request goes to OpenAI. Over here you can see we have a career objective, skills, and some pointers that it's being suggested, like to become a successful. Okay, it looks fine. So over here you can see we are getting just 6 skills and 5 pointers. But once we go through the prompt, we'll see that we can actually ask GPT to provide us maybe 10 skills, minimum 10 skills and minimum 10 pointers, which we can put here in our resume. And yeah, next, maybe let's see the React developer, and let's see what do we get. Yeah, so this is also good. Now I instead of just putting the we'll try to put an actual job description. So I have this LinkedIn profile open, so maybe we'll pick up any job. So over here you can see it is asking for this job is for a web developer, and it is asking it has some responsibilities and qualifications. So you can see we are just copying the responsibilities and qualification. We are not putting everything over here. Reason being, GPT has tokens. It has limited tokens that we can send, because in the same it has to respond as well. So we can't put a very long lengthy description. So we have to make sure that our job description, we are putting only the main paragraphs or pointers to get the help. So now if I click on generate, so let's see what it returns. So over here you can see it has returned some career objective. It looks fine. Skills, PHP, JavaScript. Okay, now you can see it has 3 years experience, so maybe we can refine it a little more to how exactly what exactly we want. And but yeah, we got some points here, and the pointers also, we got some pointers. So this is what we will be building today. So I'll quickly set up a NextJS app and then we'll start coding. So I have just set up the next app in my PC. I just run this command, this npx create next app latest, and I give the name of the project as Sidekick. Use npm was not required, as by default it uses npm, and I'm not using any sample what they have given, the learn starter. It has given me a simple index.js. It has some code, so we'll see what to do. But before starting, we will be setting up Tailwind, because in this project we are using Tailwind. So in order to do that, we have to go to tailwindcss.com, and once we click on get started, you will see there are multiple ways to install Tailwind. So we'll go into framework guides, and over here we have NextJS. If you are working on any other project, you can see if you can find the framework you're working on. Now for the NextJS, yeah, we can follow the steps. Maybe the first step we can skip, because this is already done. We will set up Tailwind. The CSS will install with post CSS and auto prefixer. So these are the steps we have to follow in order to set up. So I'll just run this command, and I'll copy the next command. Yeah, so we'll do npx tailwind init. Okay, it's copied. I'll just let it finish. Okay, so it's done. I'll go back. Yeah, so after running these two commands, we'll see a file tailwind.config.js has been auto-generated in our project. So if I go back over here, you can see that these are two files, post css config.js, which we don't have to touch this file. The other file is tailwind config.js. So over here we have to go back to the Tailwind setup, and from here we can just copy this whole content, and we'll just replace it with here. So it basically, we are telling what all pages are there in our project where we are using Tailwind CSS, so that it can see for the changes when it compiles. And yeah, we can even extend our themes, and we can use multiple plugins in Tailwind CSS. But for now, we will this much setup is enough, because we will not be extending or using any plugin. Okay, so this is the only configuration I think in global CSS. Once again, if you go to styles, yeah, in the global CSS we have to copy paste. This is the last step. We have to, I mean, we can keep what we have in some of the CSS file, but because this is the auto-generated CSS that we got once we set up NextJS, so we can just delete it. And the global CSS, we are going to put these 3 lines of code, and yeah, that's it. So our Tailwind is set up. It's very quick to set up. And now if we go back to the pages index.js file, which is open here, so what we'll do is we will just remove all this data that is provided to us by NextJS. Okay, so I have removed all of this, and we don't need this also, we don't need. Okay, and I will name our app as Resume Sidekick, and we'll let this stay as it is. And the first thing we'll do is h1, maybe we'll just name a project Sidekick. Okay, so we have put Resume Sidekick in h1 tag, and that's it. Now we will run the project and see. We'll see if we can see this h1 tag. Okay, Okay, loss 3000. Okay, so we can see it over here, Resume Sidekick, but you must be surprised why h1 tag is so small. I mean, the text in h1 tags are always large, but it's with the Tailwind CSS, it will remove all the default styling. So you can use h1, h2, h3, all the tags, the size will remain the same. So even for list and all, there is no styling. So Tailwind CSS provides us classes to style uh, each and every component. So we'll see how we will do it, how to do it here. So let's start first with the header. Like in the demo that we saw, we have a header at the top which says Resume Sidekick. So what we'll do is we'll build a div, and the div will say Resume Sidekick. Okay, so this is fine. Now in Tailwind, if you want to style, we'll put all the styling classes in the class name. We don't have to explicitly go and write CSS. That is the best part of Tailwind CSS. So to do, if you're starting it for the first time, a lot of time we have to go and see the documentation, what exactly is the class name for this particular styling that we want to achieve. So let's say that yeah, so if I go back, so it is still here. Okay, yeah, so now if I want to put a border, so you can see all the suggestions that are coming. So we'll go with border 2, so that it's like border with the border size 2, border width 2. So if I go back to the browser, you can see we have a browser, we have a border, it's across the whole width of the page. That's fine. So we'll go back and let's increase the size. So we'll make it a little bigger. Text for Excel, sorry, yeah, like text for Excel, and we'll try to bring it to the center. So text center, and we can, let's say, give a padding for both top and bottom. So we'll give maybe 5 padding, and we'll see. Okay, so you can see it has come to the center with a good padding at the top and bottom. And now because we are giving a border on all the 4 sides, we'll better give the border only at the bottom. So it's like this: bottom, border, bottom, and then of size of width 2. So now we don't have border anywhere else but at the top, at the bottom. Now the background color that we want to give, for that we'll give bg dash, yeah, we'll go with zinc. There are a lot of colors that Tailwind provides. If I, okay, I'll just give it a little, let's say 700, to make it a little dark. And the text color, because that's the background color, the text color will give maybe 50. It will be a little lighter. So you must be thinking, from where are these values coming? So if you want, you can go to Tailwind CSS and you can look for colors, and text color. Okay, there was it has a list of colors that it provides. Yeah, so this is the palette basically. So whenever whatever color we want, we can directly use it with, let's say we wanted to use zinc, so we'll say text dash zinc, and then you can choose with the numbers, with the lighter or dark shades depending on the numbers. So I chose zinc. It is over here with 50 as the text color and 700 as the background color. So yeah, let's go back to our project. So this is our project page that's looking right now. Okay, now for the body, for the rest of the body, again, maybe we can give some color. So maybe in the main we can give the class name as bg dash again zinc, maybe 100 this time. So our header is fine, our header is done. We'll start building the sections. On the left side we have to build a text area where we can post the job description. On the right we'll go with the results. Okay, so for that what we have to do is we'll create another div. Okay, now if you have worked on Bootstrap or Material UI, so you already know there is a concept of grids. So there is a similar concept of grids in Tailwind, but it's slightly different. So yeah, so what we'll do is we will inside a div we will create another div, and in this we'll declare so this is how we do. We first have to declare grid, and then the number of columns that we want. So it will divide the entire width of the screen into that many columns. So over here we just need 2 columns, because on the left side we'll be putting the text box, on the right side there will be the results. So I think this much is fine. Now if I put, let's say once again, yeah, let's say I'll say div 1 and div 2. Now if I go back, so you can see over here div 1 and div 2, so the whole screen, it is divided into 2 proper sections, div 1 and div 2. That's fine. Now we'll try to put some gap between those 2 divs. So maybe we can give a gap of 4. So I will see, maybe the gap will be more evident. Okay, maybe I can just put borders here so that we see exactly what is happening. So over here you can see, maybe once again I'll give red borders, yeah, red 50. Oh. Yeah, so if I remove the gap, you can see it both are like very close. So with gap, the sections, there is a gap in between. So this is fine. Now the thing is, I don't want the sections to be taking the whole width of the screen. It should be somewhere at the center, and it should have some width, static width. Okay, so what we can do is this is our grid which is inside a div. So we'll define the width the complete width of this section inside this div. So what we can do is in Tailwind it has some predefined sizes that we can use. So if we go into the documentation, let's say I say that I want a max width of 5XL, so you can see the width has reduced. Now how it happened, I mean, if you go over here, yeah, max width, if in the Tailwind CSS you can see the class names, and it will give you how much pixels it is for whatever class name that you're using. So I used max width 5XL, it is 1024 pixels. So this is fine, but the thing is I want it to be at the center. So one way to do it, I think the best way is to do it MX auto. MX auto means on the x-axis, that is on the horizontal, on the both left hand side, margin left and margin right is auto. So if it is auto, the content will come at the center. So over here you can see the content is at the center, but the zinc 100 I think that we gave, it is this is the color basically. So it is not applied to the entire screen, only in the div, but we want it to take the entire screen. So what we'll do is we will put we'll put a height. We'll come to the height in a moment. We'll put a small footer. Maybe we'll put a small footer over here. Yeah, so we have a footer, that's okay. Now let's design the footer first. So class name, again we of course want it to be at the center. So we can, if we say text center, so you can see it has come at the center. We want some padding in the top and bottom, so maybe py5, that is on the y-axis, vertical axis. So it is fine. That is fine. Just while we are styling it, let's put some border to it so that we know. Yeah, so we can see the border, so it is fine. And we want the size to be a little small, so is it ext. There are many sizes. Again, if you go back to footer in here, so you'll see text size, font size. If you look for font size, so over here it has a lot of predefined classes with those specific pixels. So you can go to, I think we took text SM. Yeah, so SM is fine. It is 14 pixels with a height of 20 px line height, so this much is fine. We'll put, if we want it to be all uppercase, we can use the uppercase class, and you can see it is all uppercase. And we will put some proper text instead of just footer. Maybe you don't have to put it all uppercase, it could be anything. Yeah, I will just put something like all rights reserved 2023. Okay. And normally there is that copyright symbol, so I'll just put it. I have it with me handy, so #169. Okay, fine. If we go back, yeah, so all right, so the footer looks fine. Maybe we can remove the border. Let's keep it for now until we, yeah, so this footer has to be at the very bottom. So this is our div. Okay, yeah, we should actually put this footer outside because we'll be giving a max height. Yeah, so we'll be actually giving a max height to this div. So inside the main we have 3 divs, one the header, one with all the content, and the last one is the footer. And we will give a height to the one with the body, the one with the content. Yeah, so the height, one way to give the height is like you can give height screen. Then there are many classes of heights that you can give height to. It is a very small height, in fact it's very less. Height 12, you can see there are height 16 predefined heights are there. You can see the height is increasing, but we want it to stick at the bottom. So what we can do is we can use calc. So something like I'm using square brackets because if you want a specific number for which the class is not defined, so you can actually use you can break it. I mean, you can define your own size. Let's say for 100px there is no class defined, so you can use square brackets, and inside you can put 100px. So now the height would be 100px. Let's say I put 500px. So if I go here, you can see 500px. So this is another way of doing. So best is, if the class is available, best is to use the class. Otherwise we can go with like this. Okay, fine. So over here, if you want to use calc, so again we have to put it in square brackets, and I am going to use, like, for 100vh the complete height of the screen. And I have already calculated how much I have to keep in order to fix. So it is 146, and if I refresh it, so you can see the footer is at the bottom, and we have that proper color covering all over the screen. So this is fine. Now the thing is, if it overshoots, so so we will just put an overflow for y to scroll, so that not over here, sorry, overflow. If auto scroll. We don't want it to come out of the div. We want the div to auto scroll. So this is again a class already defined in Tailwind. So in case of overflow at the y-axis, it will auto scroll. So for now I think we are good. So let's start building the left section where we have this text box. So over here we will place, first we'll have a form, because it will be a form with the text box and submit button where we'll submit the job description, and we'll have a label. The label will say paste job below. Okay, so this is fine. So you can see we have page job description below, and then we will put a text area. So over here you can see that in Tailwind we are not using any predefined components. These are just HTML tags that we are using. Unlike Material UI or Bootstrap, we have a lot of predefined components, but over here we don't have, we are not using any predefined components. We are building our own components. We are styling the basic HTML tags. So yeah, so we have a text area, and yeah, we don't need a closing tag. Yeah, so we will be giving the rows, because yeah, rows, let's say we'll give 10. If I go back over here, you can see we have this, but this is not proper because the label is on the left and this is on the right. So we have to do something about it. We have already given the number of rows. We want the text area to take the complete width of this div. So over here we'll start putting some classes. We'll start styling. So in order for text area to take the whole width of the div, let's put width full. So now if I go back, so here you can see yeah, so it is taken. So this is fine. I'm okay with this. Now other things we can put in this class. Let's style it a little. Let's style the label first. Class name, we want text LG. Now I'll not be going to Tailwind again and again. I think you got the idea. I'll start putting the class names directly so that the video is not that too large. So we'll make the font, we want it to be bold, and we want the text the way of zinc 500. Okay, so this is fine. If I go back, so this looks fine to me. And okay, now let's style the text area. So we'll make it over here. You can see if I type, it is no padding, so we'll put some padding, p5, and then we want some spacing from the top so that it is not just sticking into the label. So this looks fine. It has a good padding. Now it has this blue color outline. We'll just remove it and we'll put a proper border. So we'll put a border maybe of color purple, 500, and we want the edges, the corners, to be rounded, but just a little rounded, not completely. And yeah, we'll remove the outline, and the outline is still not removed, because so we'll remove the outline to 0. So you can see there is no outline. And the border size, so let's give a border size of 2. So this is fine. Yeah, this is fine. It has this slight curve at the corners. It has proper, and it has some padding. So I think a styling is fine. I'll just give some a placeholder. So we'll give a placeholder with paste here. I go back here. So because we're asking the user to paste a job description, so they can paste it here. Now we can give we'll be giving an onChange function. onChange, we'll come to it in a while, and it will have a value as well. So we'll be updating the value once we set up the state. And of course, let's have maybe an ID. Sorry, not DOB, it has to be job description. Okay, so this is fine, and I think this is fine for the text area. And because we have this ID for job description, so we should have an HTML for as well for that ID. So because if I click on it, it has to take me to this. So this is fine. So let's put it in another div. We'll put button, and we'll name it as generate. The label is generate. Now again, you can see there is no styling for a button. Default styling is not there because Tailwind removes all the default styling. That's fine. Now, but this button has to be of type submit, because only then if we can see the form now got submitted. And now let's style the button. So the button, we want it to be moved on the right side. So we'll just say text right, and we want some margin from the top, because at the moment the button is kind of stuck at the top. Okay, we'll first style the button and then we will put the margin, so you will know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll quickly put some classes. Items, and px-4 -2 font. I want semi bold, and there has to be some line height. The text has to be SM, and has to be rounded MD. Let's see how it looks. Okay, there's no color at the moment. Let's put some color. The text has to be white, and the background of that button has to be purple. I think 500. Now if we see, we can see the button, but if we hover, there is no change. So let's put some on hover. We'll put BG purple. Now on hover, maybe it has to become a little darker, so we'll make it 600. So I can see if we hover, it is 600. And yeah, if we can give some transition as well, so that the transition takes time, and what kind of transition, like ease, in, out, those things. If you have worked on transitions in CSS. Duration 150. Okay, so for now we'll see. So this looks fine. It has a slight delay. That looks good. And yeah, just in case when we will click on that button, we want it to be disabled, and when it is disabled, we don't want the cursor to be allowed, so we'll just say cursor not allowed. So if I just save it, and if I want to check, so in case of disabled, so let's say if we disable it, so you can see the cursor is not allowed. So this is fine. Okay, so our button is styled, and the button is of type submit, and yeah, so this looks fine. Now next is we'll give a slight padding and margin at the top, so that it has this slight space. So left side is kind of complete, but we have not yet defined the state, so we'll better define a state for this so that we can hold the data. So in this component we'll define so in this component we'll define some states like data set data, the use state. The data will hold basically the job description. Let me quickly import React. Okay, and now we'll have one state for loading, because once we click on generate, we want to enable loading, and then we will put it false after that. Okay, now we want one function to be called once we click on submit. We'll call it handle submit. Now this function will be called once we click on the submit button. So let's just console what we are going to submit. Let's say the data that we will be submitting will be basically data. So yeah, so let's just console this and better name it as description, because this is exactly what we will then send it to the backend, to OpenAI basically. So yeah, this looks fine. Now on clicking the form, we want once the form is clicked, we want handle submit to be called, so we will say on submit handle submit. So this is fine, but again the set data, the on change handler for the text area is not set yet. So yeah, it's here already. Yeah, so on change what we'll do is so on change what we want is we want whatever is the value here, you want it to be set inside the set data. So we'll say on change e dot target dot value. So on change function is done, and the value has to be data, of course. And I think well, this is fine. We'll just quickly see if I'll just quickly see if this is working fine. Okay, so let's just type something in. Okay, I think I did not put the prevent default, so e dot. Okay, now if I type hello, so this is fine. So our left section is kind of done. We'll start with the right section now. So in the right side, as we saw in the demo earlier, we want the objective, skills, and the pointers, the points that we can include in our resume. So yeah, so this is our right side. So we'll put 3 divs, because it will have it has 3 sections. So let's just put it like this. We'll better put all the headings. Objective. We'll put it like this, and whatever data we'll get from the backend, we'll put it here. Okay, so this is for career objective section. We'll replicate the same for skills, and we'll do the same for pointers. Okay, so if you go back, yeah, it's not styled yet. Fine, so this is fine. Now let's style the right side, the right section. We'll just remove the border. We'll give some padding, and we want it to take the full height, and we are again giving max height because we don't want it to be we want the overflow to be handled only in this section. We don't want the whole page to scroll if the right section overflows. So we'll put 100 vh minus 146 px, and we'll give overflow y scroll. Okay, fine. So yeah, again we still have to style h4. Now over here, one thing we can see that because career objective, skills and pointers all are for h4 tags, and as you already saw that all these tags are unstyled by Tailwind, so that we can put our own style. So one thing that we can do here is that for all the h4 tags, if we want some default styling, so what we can do is we can go inside the global CSS, and right after this Tailwind base, what we can do is we can add a layer for the base, and we'll give h4 and we'll apply. Now for h4, what style we want to apply, we can give here. Now what will happen is it will give a default style. So we want all h4 to be text LG. We want all the h4 to have this color of 500, and we want all those to be of bold, and we can give maybe MB to under all the, because if we look at actual the default h1 h tags, so all those have proper padding and margins, so we can give maybe MB to. If we go back, so now you can see this is h4, we have some padding and some styling. This is h4 and this is h4, so it has taken effect. So this is fine. So now we'll go results. So over here in the result, this is objective, skill and data. So once we make an API call, we will set a state for all these three values. So we'll declare three states here, and so const skills, set skills, use state. So for skill it will be a list, so we'll just put it like this, and the same will happen for pointers, and we'll make it set pointers. So this is fine. And for objective, so objective and set objective. Now but this will not be a list, so we'll just make it as an empty string. So this looks fine. Now we'll go back here in that section. Now what we want is, if we have an objective, so if we have an objective returned from the backend, then we will show that objective, else we will show a span, and we'll style that span. Maybe we'll put maybe text XS, and we'll put some data like no data to display. So if there's nothing, so we'll just say no data to display, and if I come here, so it says no data display. So this looks fine, and we see there is some space, no space actually, so we'll better put some styling here, though we can create a separate component, but it's a very small thing, so I'm not. Yeah, so now you can see it has some margin at the top, and yeah, we'll do the same for skills and pointers. But the thing is, skills and pointers are going to be a list of, so it will be an unordered list. So we'll better create a separate we'll better create a separate component, but it's okay. We'll first write the code here and then we will refactor it. So we want something like this. We'll say li and 1 2 3. Okay, now if we go back, so you can see, because again it is unstyled, so we don't see, though it is an unordered list, we should have seen one dot. Or if I go with the ordered list, yeah, again we don't see 1 2 3 on the left side. So in order to do that, what we have to do is there are classes defined. So list decimal will give us 1 2 3, and we want, now you can see it is on the left side, so we want it to be inside. So we can say list inside, so it is now aligned inside. So now the same component we can use for pointers as well. So what we'll do is we'll put it in a separate component. So maybe outside this home, we'll create one component as list box, and we'll return only that component. And over here we'll be passing the list of items basically, and so over here we'll iterate through each item, items.map, and that item is going to have one single string, and then we'll take an index so that we can put it as a key, and we will put it in the li, and we'll put it here as a key. It will be index. Over here we'll put this, the value will be the label will be item, or we don't need a value as, yeah. So now if I use this list box inside skills, so over here you can see we have items, and the items will give maybe 1 2 3 1 2 3 3 4 5. If I go back, so you can see it is it's fine. Same we can use for pointers. Now because we don't have any data, so we'll not be passing anything. So we'll be passing the skills from the state, and we'll be passing the pointers, and because both are an empty array, so nothing is being displayed, so better we'll put a small condition here. If items dot length is greater than 0, then in that case we will have this list. Otherwise we'll put a span, and it will say no. In fact, it's the same span. We can again put it in a separate as a separate component. So we will say, yeah, no data to display. If I go back, so fine. So this looks very close to what I demoed, and I think the footer we can make it our purple color. So text purple 500, and yeah, so this is very close to what I was building. And yeah, another thing is for generate. So once it is, if it is over here, I think we have already set up loading. Yeah, loading is there. So if it is loading, so at that time we want the button to be disabled, so we'll say disabled. If loading is true, so the disabled is also true, and in that case, if it is loading, so we'll say generating, otherwise we'll say generate. So over here we'll say generating. Okay, so quickly we'll test this before starting the backend part. So over here is disabled, and this is generating, so it is fine. I think if it is disabled, we can make the color a little more lighter. So if I go back to the button, and over here it says BG purple, like this. I say disabled, the purple maybe 200. I think it'll be too light, but let's see. Yeah, it's too light. We'll make it 300. Okay, so this is fine. So if it is disabled, it's light. Loading will make it false again. Okay, so this is fine. Now let's get to the backend part. That is where we will be creating an API, and that API will call in the handle submit. So to create that API, we have to go to the pages API. In this we have hello world. We'll just remove this. Now I assume you have an OpenAI key. If not, you can go to the OpenAI website and you can generate your own key. And what we'll do is we have to put the OpenAI key inside. We'll put inside the environment variable inside the .env file. So I'll just create one file .env. Oh, sorry, it should not be added, and I have to put it inside git ignore. So this will not be this should not be committed, neither should this be put inside the put in your repo. So if I just maybe I'll just remove it from the staging, because env environment variable should not be committed. Okay, now we want a key open underscore OpenAI underscore API underscore key equals. Now yeah, so to get the key, we will come to openai.com and we'll go to developers, and okay, what happened? Yeah, and then we'll go to API reference. Over here you can go to view API keys, and if you have one, that's fine. Otherwise you can create a new API key, which I will not be using because I already have. So I've just removed it. Okay, and then we will just go and copy paste it in the .env file. So fine, I have already copy pasted the API key in the environment variable. Now let's write the backend code for the API. So for that we need an npm package, that is OpenAI. So we'll just install OpenAI, and so what will happen is OpenAI gives us from OpenAI. So OpenAI gives us, one is the configuration and the other one is OpenAI API that we'll be using for this project. So what we want is we want to first do the configuration. So in the configuration, it's nothing but just passing the API key. So in the configuration, we'll be passing the API key, and this API key is going to come from process.env.openai underscore API underscore key. Okay, so the API key we are going to fetch from the environment variable, and now we'll be writing the handler function. Export default, I'll make it async, and yeah, we'll return something. Okay, it's okay. Now this is if you might already know, it is pretty much close to Express style of making APIs. So we have request and response. It has to be, we have request response, And we'll be making a post call from the front end, so we will extract the description from the body. So description, request the body, so that's fine. And then we'll do a small check. If the API key does not exist, then we can give an error, but we'll just leave it because but yeah, you can do it. Or if the description length is equal to 0, so we'll just return an error. I think we can better do it just for the sake of completeness. So we'll just see if configuration dot API key, if there is no API key basically. So we'll just say a response. We'll just return a status 500. We'll just say error, and we'll give a message API key missing. So this is fine. If the API key is missing, we are giving an error. Next is if the description, and we'll just trim it, dot length is equal to 0. So again, what we can do is we can actually return as well, because sometimes we can get an error. Start status, again we'll make it an error. Now this error is 400, that is 500, because 400 is the error from the user and 500 is error in the server. So that is why we have different HTTP error response code. And we'll just say job description is cannot be empty. Okay, so this is fine for the error handling. Now the thing is, let's now jump into the OpenAI part, the prompt part. So we'll quickly put some try catch block, because there are high chances always to get some exception. So we want to create a completion. So completion is where we already actually from this OpenAI we will be creating a completion. Yeah, I think we missed one part, which is passing the configuration into the OpenAI API. So we'll just say OpenAI will pass the configuration. Yeah. Now what we have to do is we have to create a completion. Now the completion is OpenAI dot create completion. There are you can see there is a chat completion as well if you're using GPT 3.5, the chat GPT API. So you have to use chat completion. Currently we are going to use create completion, as we'll be using the DaVinci model. So we have to do like this, create completion, and in the completion basically we will be passing the model that we want to use. Okay, there are several models that we can use, like DaVinci, then GPT 3.5 is there, then we have Curie, then we have many other. If you go read the documentation of OpenAI, you will see what is the benefit and how each model is different from the others. And we will set a temperature. Will make it, we can set it anywhere between 0 to 1. 0 will make it 0.6 or 0.7, anything. Temperature means over here the model will take risk in giving you the response. If it is 0, so every time the response is going to be the same. But if the more we increase the temperature, the more different kind of responses we can get. So 0.7 is quite optimum. And there is another field that we have to pass is max tokens. For the DaVinci, we can, I think the max tokens are 2048. We can't, that is the maximum tokens that we can use. So we'll set the tokens to around 2000, or we can keep it less also, like 1500, anything. It's okay, we'll stick to 2000 because we are expecting some too much of a response, some larger response we are expecting. And the model the model name, this is if we go to the I think I can quickly show you the list of models together in the playground. Also we can see over here, yeah, you can see the model is DaVinci 003, Curie, Babbage, Ada, EDA. So and there is a small description here, but if you want to go through detail of each, then in the API reference somewhere you will be able to find yeah, over here you can see models. You can look at how to use, and in the models in documentation you can see so many models they have, and how to use, and yeah, like in GPT 3.5, and all about the other models that OpenAI provide. So there are a lot of things that we can read about. And over here also you can see the libraries. For Python it is OpenAI with pip you can install, but yeah, for Node we are using the same one which is here, and they have other libraries in different languages. So I mean, if you work on other languages, you can definitely use those. And there are many other features that maybe I'll make some projects, and maybe I'll share it by creating a video. So for now we saw that we can use the DaVinci model. So yeah, now the main thing is missing still in this, and that is the prompt. Prompt is anything that you are saying to the model. You'll just say give me 5 recipes, so that is a prompt. But the trick is to tell exactly what you want, and to be precise, to be clear. You should know what you're asking for, and then only you'll get the correct response. And if you think you're not, because it's mostly hit and trial with the prompt, because you might ask something and you'll get something else. So not completely something else, but yeah, if you're not very specific. So if you think the model is not able to understand, you can give an example as well. So we will be giving an example in our prompt as well. So we'll see how to write a prompt, but before that we'll over here, instead of directly writing a prompt here, it's best to create a separate function. So we'll just say get prompt. We'll create a function now. We'll just say get prompt, and in this prompt we'll be passing this description, because we will be using this description and we will be creating a prompt. Oh, sorry. Yeah. And we'll create a function here, so that get yeah, so we will use this description and we'll write a prompt, and this is going to return a promise. So better we put an await here. And first what we'll do is we'll first see what we are getting, the response. We'll first see the response that we are getting, and then we'll see how to parse it, because the response is quite big always, and we have to get to the point where our actual response is. So once we get the response, we'll just try to console it here. Maybe we'll just say response, and then we'll see maybe we'll and it is completion, yeah. And Okay, and we will return something. Res dot send will just return nothing. Okay, fine. So oh sorry, console.log. Yeah. Now the thing is, in the exception we will just maybe at the moment we'll just put something, and we'll just console.log error. Okay. Now let's get to the prompt. So in the prompt, from the front end we are sending the complete description, the job description. Now we have to tell the model what exactly are we looking for. So in the prompt, get prompt, we are passing description. Okay, we are passing the description, and using that description we want to create a prompt. The prompt is nothing but a string, so let's just say let str. Now we'll write a statement what we exactly want. So we'll just say for the below job description, suggest a career objective, because we want a career objective, list of skills, and list of suitable tasks. Once again, I'll list tasks in a JSON format. Writing here in a JSON format is very important, because if we just tell the model to give us just career objective, list of skills, and suitable tasks, then it might send us as a string. Maybe it'll be just a simple string with some, or an HTML, or very simple. But we want it in a JSON format, so we have to be very specific what exactly we want. And then we can also tell that because sometimes if it returns a JSON, it will tell like this, return the response like this is the JSON, and then at the bottom it will be a JSON. So we are going to tell you have to return only a JSON, nothing else, no extra text, only a JSON. And because we want career objective, now the thing is, we can tell the model what should be the structure of our JSON. So we can give an example. Below is the expected JSON format. Now we can give a small JSON format example. We want objective. Okay, yeah, there is actually no need to give any value, or you can even give a value, it's okay, but it's just an example. We need an objective, we need skills, and we need pointers. Okay, and it'll again be a array. Now we have still not shared the job description, so we'll just say and because in the statement we have written for the below job description, so we'll just put that job description here. So whatever job description we are getting, we are just pasting it in this prompt. So the prompt says for the below job description, suggest a career objective, list of skills, and list of suitable tasks in a JSON format. You have to return only a JSON. Below is the expected JSON format. We need an objective, skills, pointers, and below the job description. And then we can return, I can just return this, because this is what we will be sending to this prompt. So I think this is fine. Now we will quickly write on the front end, we'll call this API. Okay, so I did not rename it. I'll just rename this to maybe generate. I'll just rename it as generate, and yeah, do refactor, and fine. So this looks fine, and yeah, so let's quickly write an API on the front end. Call this API from the front end, and we'll see if we are getting any results. So over here we will be making an API call. So let response equals, okay, we have to make it async, and await, we'll make a fetch API, and we'll say API slash generate, and then because we are going to make a post call, so we'll make method post. The body is going to be json.stringify. It will be I think we have already, okay, I deleted it, so it will be description, because that's what we will be extracting from the in the backend, and the data is from here, which is what the user will post. And the headers, we have to put content type is application JSON. Okay, fine, so this looks fine. So we will see if response.ok, and before that we'll just put set loading to true, and in the end we'll put set loading to false. And if the response is okay, so we will be doing response equals await, because response.json will convert it into an object, and then we have to set objective, and we have to set skills, and we have to set the pointers. Okay, and in the this part we will wait, because we are still not returning a proper response, because in the backend we have did a console.log. So let's just run this once from the front end. Where is our application? Yeah, here. Okay, let's just see, maybe React developer. Let's just go to the backend. In the backend code, we'll see if anything is okay. So we got a response. So over here you can see we got a response from OpenAI, and yeah, it has returned the data. You can see it's too big. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to see where exactly is our exact response, so that we can fetch it. So yeah, it is always in the data choices. So over here we will just say data choices, and it's always an array, so we will be picking the first one, and let's run it once again, and we'll see what do we get in the response. So over here we got the response. It's in JSON format, so we can see that in the JSON it says text. In the text we have objective, pointers, and skills. So it has to be like this. Dot text is our data. So this is what we can return. So let data equals like this, and we will return JSON response, and over here we'll say result equals data, something like this. Maybe we can return, and now this is what we are returning. Now in the front end we have to, once we get the response, we will in the objective we have to extract the response with for the objective and skills and pointers. So we can do like response dot, because we are sending a result, dot objective, because this is what OpenAI will send to us. Similarly we can do it for skills and then for pointers. skills and pointers. Fine. So I'm not doing any error handling as of now, just because like we can actually do it later on our own. Okay, so I'll just refresh, and then let's write developer, and let's see if we get a response on the front end. So we got one error. That's fine. Let's quickly see what exactly is the error. So okay, so the thing is, we got this. It's in I mean, we are getting a response, but we have to actually parse it, because it is still a string, and then we are sending it in the JSON format. So this thing the data has to be a JavaScript object before putting it, sending it as a JSON. So what we'll do is we'll just parse it, JSON dot parse. Okay, so this is fine, and we'll just I think, yeah, we'll just remove, yeah, that console is removed. Let's just refresh this page, and let's try it one more time. If we get okay, so fine, you can see we got the objective, we got the skills, and we got the pointers, and if yeah, let's try it a couple of times, or let's say sports teacher. We'll try sports teacher. Let's see if we get something. Okay, so we got something, and let's try it on the mobile screen. Okay, so you can see for mobile screen it is broken. So because we did a grid, but we want a grid only for large screens, only for maybe desktop or laptops. So we can come here in the in where we declared the grid, and over there, where did we do that grid? Yeah, over here. So over here we can just say that we want this only for MD or more, for screen size MD or greater than MD, then only wanted. So if we now go back to small screens, this looks fine, and I'll look for sports teacher, and if I click on generate, let's see how it will look. Okay, so we are getting career objectives, skills, and so this is fine, and yeah, so a lot of things can be done here. We can ask the model to give maybe 50 words of career objective, because it is very short. We can ask it to give us 10 skills, 10 pointers, or we can yeah, we can fine tune it, we can add more things to it. And yeah, that's it for this video. I will push this in the Git repo, and I'll be sharing a link in the description of this YouTube video. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.